All right, Vicky. Well, let's get right to it here. So let's tell me about your business and yourself. Let's hear your story.
So I'm based in the UK, and I have been an entrepreneur since 2003. I'm actually just about to celebrate my 18th year anniversary as an entrepreneur, which feels a bit crazy. And I was never really destined to be an entrepreneur. I think I was kind of thrown into it because my husband was in the military, and it just kind of made sense for me to be able to have this kind of laptop lifestyle because we were moving house every 12 months. So I set up a web design agency and then pivoted in about 2015 and started teaching entrepreneurs how to build their own successful marketing related websites. And so that's kind of where I was. And I was in the fortunate position that I had an amazing network of contacts. So I had a lot of work. But the thing I was really not good at was delegating any of it or building my team. And I very quickly hit burnout, actually, when we had a very young family. My husband was away a lot on operational tours, and I was working crazy hours to try and keep my business up and running. And I realized I was just building other people's businesses, and I wasn't building my own, and I didn't have my own team. So I had no support mechanism in place. And I think it's a trap that quite a lot of entrepreneurs fall into. I think most of them are probably faster learners than I am. I think most of them discover that there's ways and means of growing your business sooner than I did. I kind of had my head in the sand. I was just so busy working in my business that I just didn't have time to focus on bringing anybody else on board. And it was such a false economy of time, but it felt at the time that I just didn't have the capacity to train somebody up. And so I think it was about 18 months ago that I heard about Acadium, which at the time was called Gen M. And I actually signed up with a platform and then kind of just sat on it for about 6 months, didn't do anything about it. And then realized that actually there was this gold mine of potential out there. And so I started looking into it a bit more. I hired my first apprentice and loved it. I made a lot of mistakes, and but together we kind of bimbled through it, and it just felt like a really positive experience. And the apprentice loved it, and she got a lot out of it. And I just really enjoyed the process of being able to mentor her, but actually having somebody kind of in my corner and doing some of the work that I normally did just felt like such a huge release. And so then I took on another apprentice, and it kind of just snowballed from there. And each time I took one on, I felt like I was getting a little bit better at guiding the process and knowing what it was that I was looking for. And so, yeah, I think I'm probably on about my 12th apprentice now.
Wow, that's cute.
Yeah. So it's just, they've made such a difference to my life. And I think, like, I'm crazy, like, totally uncareful and throw caution to the wind in my personal life. I would jump out of a plane, I would hike up a highest mountain, but in my business, I'm really cautious. And I think that part of that comes down to the fact that it feels like it's almost a shared income with my husband. Do you know what I mean? It's like my family kind of relies on my income, so I feel like a little bit, I feel like I need to be slightly responsible about it. So it makes me more cautious than I normally would be. And so going out and hiring someone to help me with some of these tasks, it feels like quite a big deal, but it's so much easier to do it in an apprentice capacity within that framework of an apprenticeship, because the financial investment is so low. And yes, there is an investment of time because they do need some hand-holding, you do need to onboard them. But at the same time, it gives us an opportunity, it gives us like a window of 3 months to find out if they're going to be a good fit. And so out of those 12 apprentices, 6 of them are now on my team. I work with them, not all full time, but I have, regular project work with them, or they have regular hours with me. And I genuinely would say that in 2020, so last year, I doubled my business, and I can hand on my heart say it's in huge part down to the fact that I was using apprentices. So it's just been a real revelation for me and a real eye-opener, and I can't believe I just didn't do it sooner. But yeah, it's been fabulous. So I'm so grateful to Acadian for the platform and the framework and the amazing talent that they seem to have on the platform. So yeah, it's been pretty cool.
That's absolutely amazing. I am so happy. You know, it's just not only for you, the fact that you doubled your business in 2020, very few entrepreneurs can say that. That's a huge accomplishment. Just so congratulations on that one. Well done. But not only that, you've changed the lives of a dozen people and you've directly created economic mobility for those 12 and hired 6 of them. And I don't think our mentors really understand the impact of that. You are creating a ladder of opportunities that these individuals would not have otherwise. This is life-changing. And to me, when I connect with mentors like yourself, I'm just so grateful, frankly, and happy. I'm just so happy that we have a community like this. So let's dig into what, you sat on the platform, you signed up, you sat on it for 6 months. What made you finally decide that, hey, this is it, I got to do something? Was there like an event that happened, or was it just was there anything specific that happened that triggered you to get going?
No, I think I forgot that I had signed up and I'd had that initial onboarding, like 10-minute chat, are you a proper business kind of thing. And then I just kind of shelved the idea, it was just, I'm too busy to do it right now, or I'm not good enough to actually bring someone in and mentor them, or whatever the mind monkey chatter was that was going on at the time. I just literally shelved it, put it to one side, and then maybe I got an email from Gen M or something, or maybe actually I might have received something from a prospective apprentice that was requesting something. So I got curious again, started digging into the platform, and at that point I just thought, you know what, actually I could take someone on to help me with Instagram, which I don't engage in Instagram at all. And I thought, what harm could it do? Like, I have a dormant account, I could bring an apprentice in, kind of hand over my account, ask her to manage it, and just see what happens. And it was awesome. It was like stuff happened in my business without me having to do anything. So that was really, really great. So I really enjoyed that process. And I think one of the reasons why the apprentice enjoyed it was that I gave her access to lots of resources that I had access to, which was going to help her understand a bit more about Instagram and what she should be doing and what was going to work and what wasn't. And together we kind of helped each other understand a little bit about that. We would connect every week. But I think for her, it was about the fact that I gave her complete autonomy of that platform. It was like, okay, here's a project, you own it. I'm not going to mess with it. It's yours to do with whatever you like. And I realized that not all entrepreneurs have that kind of freedom to do that, because some of the platforms, they've already got an established audience, and they're maybe really, precious, rightly so, about what goes out to their audience. So they can't be quite so laid back about it. But at the same time, I think that was a good lesson for me, that every other apprentice that I've brought into the business, I've given them absolute ownership over every project that they have had. And so that means that whether they work with me in the future beyond the end of the apprenticeship, or whether they go and find work with somebody else, or some of them wanting to set up their own digital agencies or whatever it might be, they have a case study or they have some kind of relevant data that they can then take on to whatever the next stage of their career is. And I think that that's meaningful to apprentices, because they are giving up 3 months of their lives to kind of work with us. And okay, they've probably got other stuff going on the side, but at the same time, they want to be able to take something tangible from it. And so I've always been very cautious not to just use them as a VA. They're not just an admin person to be helping out with, doing the runaround stuff that I don't have time to do. I think it's really, I think for them, they need to have some kind of purpose that feels meaningful, and it feels like they're going to have an end result at the end of it.
That's exactly the right way to work with an apprentice. I've talked to so many mentors now, and the commonality is for the successful ones, is they don't treat their apprentice like a contractor. They're not a contractor. They're here, they're unpaid. they're here in your corner. They're here to help your business. They're motivated and inspired, and they're pumped up to come in and help you in your business. And in exchange, what they're looking for is feedback, guidance, mentorship, just an honest relationship, which frankly is really hard to come by in today's world, right? Because it's so transactional that it's like, you got to pay me this exact dollar, I'll do this exact. And one thing, you're doing renovations right now, so you know what a transactional relationship is like, right? So it's very different. Let's talk about the help that you've gotten. What kind of work did you have your apprentice do? Let's talk about some of the different projects they took on.
So I've had someone work on Instagram for me. I've had someone work on copywriting, so doing blog posts, blogging. I've had somebody else come in and do Pinterest, scale my Pinterest account. I have had someone come in and help out with my launches. So about 3 or 4 times a year, I run free Facebook challenges, 5-day challenges. So I've had someone come in specifically to help me with that side of things. I've had someone else come in specifically to do interviews of clients that then she writes up as case studies that go onto my blog posts. So those kind of things. So they're all very defined. There's nothing, there's no kind of gray areas or ambiguity around what their task was. Whether rightly or wrongly so, but it seems to work quite well. But also what I found is, so the apprentice that came in to help me with challenges, what I discovered is that she's really awesome at graphics. She loves playing around in Canva. She does amazing worksheets. And so as soon as I realized this, she's very visual. I was able to kind of skew that kind of work towards her a little bit more and almost dig out extra stuff that I might not otherwise have done, but that I knew she would get done really well. So kind of play to her strengths a little bit. And I think that worked in my favor because she produced amazing stuff. And it worked in her favor because she was really enjoying the work that she was doing. And she realized that it was really valued. She would kind of see where it was getting delivered to clients and the feedback that was coming back through from them. So I think as long as we can give them defined projects, but have within our own mind the flexibility to play to their strengths as well.
Now, did you use any specific tools or systems when you were working with your apprentice?
Yeah, Trello. I live and die by Trello. I know people love Asana and Slack, and there's loads of tools that people could be using, but Trello just works really, really well for me with apprentices. And also it's a tool that a lot of them seem familiar with, maybe because it's a free tool, so they might have dabbled around with it previously as well.
We actually send a template to new businesses with Trello. Were you already on Trello, or was that like part of the introduction?
Yeah, so I was already on Trello, and actually it was my 3rd apprentice that I took on when I got that kind of onboarding package from, I can't remember if it was Gen M at the time or Acadia, and I was like, whoa, this is kind of cool. But I had in some form created something similar, but it was nice to have that kind of checklist of things that we should be going through. And so I was able to use that. I used that with a few of my next apprentices, and then I just kind of adapted things. And so the lady that I've really integrated into the team more recently, I mean, we use Trello for absolutely everything. We connect 3 times a week, and Trello is at the heart of everything that we do in terms of our communication.
Let's talk about the search process, because sometimes it could be challenging, sometimes it's not. It really depends on, it's a search process to finding help, similar to other platforms, maybe a little bit lighter because there's less at stake. But what is your process for finding the ideal apprentice for yourself?
Yeah, so I don't think that there's a magic bullet to this, but if we have a project in mind, let's say I want to work with somebody on, let's say Instagram, for example. So what I really want is for them to be pretty familiar with graphics. So ideally, I want them to be able to work with Canva so that I can kind of pull them into my Canva team. So the filters on Acadium are really great for that, because then I can see if they've already got experience with some of the tools that I want them to be able to use. I also filter people by time zone. So one of my previous apprentices that I worked with was based in Australia. She was fabulous, but it was just a disaster in terms of like hooking up on calls. So that was a bit of a learning process for me. I mean, it's common sense, right? But so I decided at that point that I was going to bring people in who were within about a 2-hour time zone of ours. So that also, I can filter that on Acadium as well. So that's one of the filters that I use. The other thing that I sometimes use as a filter is what skills are they looking to develop? So, you know, are they looking to develop their social media marketing skills? Are they looking to develop their video editing skills, or whatever it might be? So sometimes I will also filter by that. Sometimes it's too narrow, so I'll leave one of those out. And then I just go through them, and usually I will only contact people who have a resume attached to their profile, because I think if people can't be bothered to attach a resume, then really are they, you know, is their heart in it? So if it's a real standout profile without a resume, then I might make an exception. But generally, it's those ones that have a full profile and are specific about the experience that they're wanting, or the experience that they've had in the past, that catch my eye. And also the other thing about a resume is, because visuals are quite important, pretty much I would say in every business now, because all of us are engaging on social media, whether we like it or not. And okay, Clubhouse is the new kid on the block, and we don't need graphics or any kind of social media for that. But generally, all of the major platforms are going to need some kind of visuals to be going with them. It's kind of important for me to see that if someone's attaching a resume, that they've actually styled it to some extent, that they put a bit of effort into the presentation of it. So that also speaks to me as well. And then I probably just reach out to 5 or 6 people, and we just hop onto a 10-minute call. And I think generally we're all pretty intuitive and tuned into what it is that we're wanting, and so those calls, it's usually pretty obvious who it is that I'm going to want to work with by the end of it. And sometimes it just comes down to availability of a start date. But I wouldn't say that there's anyone that I've worked with, but that I've been disappointed with their attitude or disappointed with their output. You know, I feel like I've had really good experiences with the apprentices that I've worked with. So that's the kind of process that I go through. It's nothing, I'd love to tell you that I had a real structure and framework in place for it. I don't really. It's just a question of just putting the filters on, and then just looking through and just getting an idea of who's put a bit of effort into their profile, and then connecting with them.
Yeah, I think it seems like you've had some good luck. Out of 12, like I've hired 12 people on salary with a lot of vetting, and I would say like maybe a quarter don't work out. Out of vetting, so that's definitely a good sign.
Yeah, so, you know, don't get me wrong, there's been ones who have really stood out and shined in comparison when you stand them alongside the others. But, you know, a lot of that comes down to personality as well. And everyone, you know, I really want to embrace diversity in every kind of way within the organization. So, you know, you're going to get some loud, outspoken, excitable characters that you take on. You're going to get some quiet, more reserved ones who, you know, just quietly get on with their work. But that's fabulous. It's great to have those kind of characters in there as well, to kind of ground everything out. So yeah, I think there's some, like I say, some have worked out better than others, and some I've kept on within the team, and some I haven't. But generally, I wouldn't say that any of them have been, you know, a real disaster in terms of conflict of character or just not pulling their weight or whatever it might be.
Amazing. We are always looking to improve the platform, and matching is such a huge part of our business. And do you have any specific feedback for, I guess we can talk about that afterwards, or near the end here, which we're almost near the end. So We figured out how you search for them. We figured out how you work with them. And at the end of apprenticeships, you mentioned that you hired a bunch of them. Typically, what does that look like when you hire them?
So for everyone, it's been different. So let me give you a couple of examples. So I'm working with someone now. She works with me 15 hours a week, and we have some flexibility around that. So you know, if I'm in the middle of a launch, then she might do 20 hours a week, and we've negotiated a fixed hourly rate. So that's one way of working with them. Someone else I worked with, and she was working on my Pinterest and Instagram, and I would pay her a flat rate of £300 a month, and she had a set amount of pins that she was doing and a set amount of posts. So that was like a kind of fixed monthly rate. Someone else that I work with, she also works on an hourly rate. So she works 10 hours a week with me on an hourly rate. Someone else works with me on a project basis. So he helps out with a whole load of design stuff, and he's kind of tech savvy. So he does a little bit of tinkering around on the website and that kind of thing. So he works on a project by project basis. So it's like there's no hard and fast fixed rule, because some of them, I've actually helped them go on to set up their own agencies, and so they, you know, I become their first client, and so I want to, whilst I'm helping them design their packages that they're going to be putting together for their clients, they can kind of use me as a little bit of a guinea pig, and we can kind of see how that rolls out for them. So for them, you know, I want to work with in a way that's going to work for them in an ongoing basis with the rest of their clients that they start to take on as they start to kind of grow.
Yeah, I love that. Our mission at Acadium is to accelerate economic mobility. And it sounds like whether it's hourly or project-based, or whether it's contract, flat amount, the fact is these are individuals that are coming to Acadium, and with just an internet connection, they're able to launch a career and get economic mobility regardless of their socioeconomic status and their geography. And that's not really happened before, right? So
yeah, and I think it's fabulous. I think it's a fabulous opportunity for people. And, you know, there's no one size fits all. So everyone's going to have a different idea of what's going to work for them. And I think, I mean, the way, literally with the apprentice that I took on a few weeks ago, I had a conversation with her and I said, what do you want out of it? You know, let's talk about the numbers. What do you want to be earning every month? And let's see how we can fit that together in terms of hours that are going to work for you. And so you have some kind of good work-life balance, but you feel like you're achieving those income goals that you're needing. And so, you know, I think if we can have frank conversations with people like that and not shy away from the idea of money and salary and earnings and whatever it is, I think, you know, they're just grateful. I think the apprentices are just grateful for that opportunity to talk about what their aspirations are. And if we can meet them, then we can. And if we can't, then let's try and meet halfway in the middle.
amazing, amazing, amazing. Vicky, this has been a pleasure, and you know, again, super grateful and appreciative of having you in the community. So thank you for that. And let's, I don't know if there's anything else you want to finish off with.
Well, just to say, like, I've kind of seen Acadium grow as a platform, and I think that you're saying that matching process is what you're really working on and is really important for you. And I've seen that constantly improving. So, you know, when I look back, even just like a year ago, it was, you know, it's kind of a little bit clunky to reach out to people individually. You had to, you know, there was a kind of process that you had to go through because you could only reach out to people in a certain way when you'd start them and that kind of thing. So much of it's got better. The filters have got better. There's been more kind of tools added. And I think it's great. I think you're doing a great job of continually evolving the platform and making it easier for us to use and easier for us to find the people that are really going to help us grow as well.
Every day for us is day one. Every day is like, you know, our cup is empty and we're just trying to, you know, be the best we can be for our community. All right, Vicky, thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me on. It's been lovely to speak to you.
You too, madam. You take care, okay?
All right. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.